We're going to talk about three main things during today's session. The first thing that I want to talk about is specifically about the biology of sleep, how sleep works between 6 to 12 months. So hopefully all the parents present today have children that are within this age range because the information will be specifically for 6 to 12 months. We are also going to talk about the social aspects of sleep. We know that sleep is not only biological, it's also social. There are many sleep associations, routines that help us relax and fall asleep and stay asleep. So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, we're going to talk about this very hot topic of sleep training and how to create a sleep plan at home. And I'm sure that we will have different scenarios. Some scenarios, like Melissa was mentioning a few minutes ago, where she was saying, hey, I have a 7-month-old. I want to start something, but I also have a toddler. So how do I do this without disrupting my older child sleep? And then some other parents that maybe are facing this for the first time with their first child. So, and then different ages, right? Maybe some of you have babies that are 6 months, and some of you are already moving into the toddler years. So we're going to talk about all that. Before starting with the biology of sleep, I would like to briefly have a small introduction from you. So if you can share your name and your baby's age. And I would also ask you to tell me on a number from 1 to 10, how would you classify your sleep quality these days? So maybe we can start. So unmute yourself when you start. I'm going to mention your name if you're okay. And then again, share your name, your baby's age, and on a scale from 1 to 10, how is sleep going? If you do not feel comfortable speaking, just when I mention your name, just don't unmute yourself, and then I'll move forward to the next. So Amy B, would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Amy Batchkowski. My daughter Edie is 7.5 months. I would say my sleep, I would currently rate it a 7 because of the interruptions.
Okay. Okay.
But
Maybe
yeah.
9 seconds. That's what you mean by interruptions?
Yeah, she used to be well, I got her into a groove where she was sleeping all night and I'm like, wow, I'm good. And recently she started waking up like last night she woke up around 1, then again around 6. But she goes back down. It's just, I had that stretch of time where she was doing full nights and it's
Okay.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll
What's
come
going
back to
on?
that. Okay. Amazing. Thank you. Jody? Jody Calendar?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Jody Callender. My son Silas is a little young for this call, but I figured I'd join anyway. He turned 5 months yesterday. And my sleep, I would say sleep quality is pretty, I would say probably about a five.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
he is we were doing okay. We got through a regression and then we went overseas
Okay.
and came back. So there was time zone shifts, there was daylight savings, and we have had about a week of him waking up around 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
um, and not being able to put himself back to sleep.
Okay.
His naps, he sleeps on it. He has to sleep on me to
Okay.
sleep. And at night, he's waking up about 3 or 4 times
Okay.
at night before that 4:30 wake up call.
We're going to talk
So
about all that, why, very early wake ups can happen. And even though your baby is on the young side, very soon he's going to be in the age group that we are talking about today. So this will be super helpful too. Alexandra, Kafi, yeah.
Yes, hi. I'm Alex. My baby Rumi is turning 6 months on Saturday.
Okay.
Sleep for us is probably about a 5 or 6. He's just a consistent, just wakes up a couple times during the night, and it's just kind of never changed. So yeah, I'd really especially those early morning, like 5 a.m. wake ups.
Yeah,
We'll go back to sleep, but yeah, I would love to figure out
these are tough.
those.
Okay. Thank you. Chelsea Reed?
Hi, I'm also on the earlier side, but trying to learn more about it before I go back to work. But
Yeah.
my daughter is 3 months and generally sleeps through the night with some fussing, but can put herself back to sleep. And then naps are usually only like 30 minutes, so she doesn't sleep too much during the day and is pretty tired come nighttime.
Yeah. When do you go back to sleep to work?
At year end, so like
Okay.
4.5 months.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Melissa Cheng. Oh, so Melissa, I think we got you right. 7 months. Not sure if you want to add something.
Nope, yeah, you've got it. Miles is 7 months today. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you. Rebecca Tamayo.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Um, Hi, my name's Rebecca, and my son is Roman. He's 10 months. I would rate our sleep maybe like a three.
Okay.
He's his whole entire life, he's never once slept through the night ever. And I don't know if it's me that I just like, I'm not good at letting him cry himself to sleep because I feel like he gets super worked up and he starts choking, and I'm just like, outside the door crying. So I just like I'm really bad at letting him go to sleep by himself. So I think maybe I've been helping him too much that he doesn't know how to put himself back to sleep. So he wakes up probably like a good night would be that he wakes up 3 times throughout the night. Like that would be a good night.
Okay.
But he is always like a bad night. The other night he was not feeling well, so I wouldn't attribute it to that and teething. But was waking up like every 2 hours,
Okay.
maybe even more frequently. Um,
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I promise there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and there are
Okay.
options for you too. So please, yeah. So hey,
Thank you.
this will be awesome for you.
Yeah.
Brittany.
So, hi everyone, I'm Brittany Ryan. I have a daughter, Olivia, a little bit young for this call as well, 5 months tomorrow. And I just wanted to get some more information because her sleep right now, really for the past like 4 months,
Yeah.
has just been she wakes up every 2 to 3 hours. She will put herself back to bed, and I think it's primarily just to feed and go back to sleep. But I go back to work in 4 weeks, so
Okay.
trying to save myself some sanity if possible.
Yeah. Yes, you will. You will. Yes. It's hey. And for all the moms that are soon going back to work, it's not an easy task. So, prioritizing sleep will be super important for you, for all of us, please. But also, when we go back especially to an 8 hours full-time work outside the house, that brings a lot more stress, but it's completely possible you're going to get there. And I'm so happy you're here because this will be super useful for you. Arlene, don't worry. I see your text. Don't worry about it. I hope that you can still listen to this workshop, but enjoy that contact map and yeah, and don't worry. Okay, so let's move straight to the information. Everybody can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, so let's start with the biology of sleep. And this is very important. Some of you are on the early stage of this age period, but this is going to be super useful in any case. First of all, and I'm sure you heard this before, in order to establish the baby's biological age, we need to consider the due date. So you were given an estimated due date when you were pregnant, and then that's the due date that we're going to consider in order to define what age is your child. So if any of you had a premature baby or maybe an early labor and your baby was born early, this is something that we will keep in mind in order to establish the baby's age. Now, when it comes to the biological rhythm, the first thing that I want you to understand is that all of us, every human being, has a biological rhythm, an internal clock that it's called the circadian rhythm. And this circadian rhythm, it sets the moment for when do we have to sleep and when do we have to stay awake. And we do this through releasing different hormones throughout the day that give us either energy to feel awake and give us energy to do whatever we have to do and stay alert, or it gives us hormones and releases hormones, the body releases hormones that help us relax, fall asleep, and stay in a sleep. When the babies are newborns in the early weeks of life, these rhythms are not formed. And this is why when we have a newborn at home, we do not worry about schedules, about a regular bedtime. And it doesn't matter if your baby goes to sleep at 1 a.m. or at 7 p.m., because basically the baby will have to eat and sleep, eat and sleep, eat and sleep with not set schedule. Usually pediatricians recommend or pay a lot of attention to the baby's weight, and that will be one of the main indicators of how your baby is developing. So they will encourage parents to feed their baby frequently, and that will be a lot more important than sleeping well. Now, the first big step that babies make in terms of sleep organization, it happens around 8 weeks, because around 8 weeks, babies start releasing their own melatonin. This is a very important hormone. It's the dark hormone, the sleep hormone. We all release this hormone when we are exposed to the dark and when the evening comes. And these hormones is essential to allow us to fall asleep and stay in a sleep throughout the night. This level of melatonin will increase throughout the night. They will get a peak and then they will slowly decrease until early in the morning. We will not have more melatonin in the blood, and we will have hormones that give us energy like cortisol and adrenaline. So many of you have mentioned when you were introducing yourselves that at some point your baby was sleeping better. Some of you were saying, hey, my baby was getting longer stretches. Maybe some of you were lucky enough to get those very amazing nights of 10 hours of sleep. These are the nights where suddenly we were feeding our baby frequently and suddenly we wake up one night at 5 a.m. super stressed because we noticed that our baby did not wake up to eat, and we, are worried that if our baby is alive or something wrong happened. And this is because around 2 months of age, very early in your baby's life, the baby is capable of getting these longer stretches of consolidated sleep at night. And this is mostly because of this 8 weeks period when the baby start releasing their own melatonin. So if any of you, and some of you, again, you mentioned this already, experience this, it's a very biological, natural thing. However, as sleep keeps developing, around 16 weeks of age, the famous form and sleep regression, many more changes happen in your baby's life. And now daytime sleep will start becoming more organized and more regular. And also there structural changes in your baby's sleep architecture. And now that those sleep cycles that were more immature now are more similar to adult sleep. And this can cause in the baby what we call a sleep regression. Is actually a development step. And this is because your baby's rhythms are more mature. But in terms of how sleep works, we see that the baby struggles staying asleep because every time that one sleep cycle ends and the following cycle starts, there's a disruption there. We all have a short arousal during the night, and then we connect with the following sleep cycle and we stay asleep in the following part of the night. When sleep does not work well in young babies because of the habits usually that we have, then we see a stronger disruption in sleep. So if some of you have experienced that suddenly your baby was sleeping super well, and then you've noticed that the nighttime wakings came back, this is part of the sleep evolution and the sleep development. And there are many things that we can do to help your baby go back to that consolidated sleep that he had earlier in life. I'm going to give some time for questions specifically about this topic, but now bear with me and I want to keep discussing this sleep development. So we know that babies at this age are capable of getting longer stretches of consolidated sleep at night, and this is a biological thing. We know that sleep cycles at the beginning of the night have a bigger proportion of deep sleep. So for those of you who have mentioned that your baby was waking frequently during the night, even every 2 hours, I want you to know that it's possible that your baby enters in deep sleep at the beginning of the night, and this is what this workshop is about today. We want to help your baby to get that deep sleep that happens especially before midnight. When babies are in deep sleep is super important. Sleep cycles at the beginning of the night are mostly deep sleep. So we want the baby not to wake up in that part of the night. Metabolism slows down at the beginning of the night and hunger hormones drop. So the reason why babies at this age wake up, especially at the beginning of the night, is not because of hunger. It's more because of habits and because we have to do some adjustments in the schedule, but it's not because of hunger. And this is something that I want you to feel confident about, because many times we respond feeding our baby every time they wake up. But the idea with this workshop is that we start changing that to give more space for sleep. And the other thing is that naps will also follow a pattern that I'm going to explain in a minute. So from now until to 12 months, you're going to see that this pattern of naps will start become more and more regular. Give me a second. Okay. So I want to give you an idea of how a sleep cycle works, just so you to have an understanding of your baby's behavior. So we know that the first 10 minutes is what it takes all of us to fall asleep. So those first 10 minutes are the first stages of sleep. And it's probably when if you're still rocking your baby or even feeding your baby to sleep, is when your baby starts getting drowsy. And that's already a sleep association. So even when many sleep advice will tell us that you need to put your baby drowsy but awake in order to start sleep training, let's say, or to allow your baby to learn how to fall asleep in the crib, at this age, I strongly suggest don't do drowsy anymore. It's fully awake in the crib. Why? Because this initial step, when they become drowsy, that's already a sleep association there. And your baby will need all those elements to get into that, calm and relaxed state in order to move to a deeper stage of sleep. Then it takes the baby another 10 to 20 minutes to get into the deeper sleep. And then finally, at around 20 minutes, your baby will be really in deep sleep. And this is another thing that I want you to understand, because let's say that you are rocking your baby to sleep. I always tell parents, if you're not ready to put your baby down as awake in the crib, wait at least 20 or even 30 minutes to fully put him down. Why? Because if not, your baby is still in a more superficial sleep, and is more likely that when you put the baby down, the baby will wake up and want, to get into that relaxing mode again in your arms. And then finally, around 40 minutes, the baby comes out from this deep sleep. And then it goes to what we call the REM sleep, more superficial sleep, the stage where we start dreaming. There's a brief arousal, and then we connect with the next sleep cycle again. Now, I'm sorry about this. Oopsies. Now, by 12 months, these sleep cycles will get longer and longer. So right now, for those of you who are closer to 4 to 6 months, babies' sleep cycles are around 50 to 60 minutes, and the baby's sleep cycles will keep developing until eventually they last around 90 minutes. And this is similar to adult sleep cycles. So in order to help your baby sleep, and this is essential for everyone, we need to, one, follow an age-appropriate sleep schedule. This is what I'm going to start talking next in a minute. I'm going to give you what is the best schedule and the recommended schedule for babies this age and why those timing for sleep are so important. We also would like to start seeing a consistent wake up in the morning. So again, before we were more flexible, especially for the moms. Rebecca, no, Chelsea, you said, for example, you have a 3 months old baby, or even Jody, that you said you have a 5 months old baby. It's okay. You can be flexible about the timing your baby wakes up in the morning. However, after 6 months of age, because the circadian rhythm becomes more and more regular, it's best for sleep quality that we wake up every day at the same time. And this is something that will happen naturally, but many times for those babies who are still not sleeping well at night, what they tend to do is to compensate in the morning the sleep that they didn't get in the night. So this is sometimes part of the problem because they sleep bad at night. So then they get a longer stretch, maybe early in the morning. So they end up sleeping later in the morning, and then that compromises the first nap of the day that sets the rhythm of the day. So in this at this age, between 6 to 12 months, I strongly encourage parents to wake up the baby at a certain time, usually it's around 7 a.m. Because this helps with the rest of the sleep quality throughout the day, and that will also have an impact on nighttime sleep. Many of you might be rolling your eyes or even praying for a 7 a.m. wake up, because I know that many of you mentioned, 4:30 a.m. wake up, some of you 5 a.m. wake up. So yes, this is a natural tendency. Babies are early risers. They tend to wake up early, not as early as 4:30. We'll discuss in a minute why this happens. And why they tend to, have these alert mode very early in the morning. But ideally, we want to see a wake up between 6 and 7 a.m. And then definitely we want a consistent bedtime routine. And this includes changing certain sleep associations that might be affecting the sleep quality. And finally, a sleep-inducing environment. This is essential. We want a dark room. We want a silent room. We still hear when we are sleeping, so this is very important. So if somebody rings the bell, if the firefighter's truck passes by, if the dog barks, we tend to wake up, and this is because our addition is still active while we sleep. And this is also why white noise has become very popular in the last years, because science have shown that if there's a noise, a constant sound like shh, with no rhythm present in the room, it can block away those disturbing noises that many times can wake up a baby. It doesn't mean that it's essential for sleep. It's not habit forming, so it's not like if you don't use it one night, your baby will depend on this white noise to fall asleep. But it does help, especially when we live in noisy cities or in small apartments where the rest of the family is still living while the baby is sleeping. White noise can help a lot to block away disturbing noises. So if you're using it, good for you. I totally recommend it. So we're talking about dark room. We're talking about silent room with no disturbing noises. And then we also need to be very mindful about all the safe sleep recommendations that I'm going to talk in a little bit. Okay, so let's go straight to the recommended sleep schedule for this age. And usually, it keeps saying that my internet connection is not stable. I'm so sorry about that. Of course, the days that I have workshop, this can happen. Please let me know, Shinawe, if you cannot hear me right. Okay, so when the baby is between 6 to 12 months old, as I mentioned before, we see that there is a more regular rhythm, both for naps and for nighttime sleep. I personally follow all the teachings from a very well-known doctor, that is Mark Weisbluth, and he has presented in the 90s a very deep um, explanation and description of how naps development during the first year of life. And he talks about a first nap, a first window that happens usually between 9 and 10 a.m. So for this age, I usually recommend that first nap to start between 8:30 and 9 a.m. And I'm not going to talk about the famous sleep windows and how long your baby can stay awake. I'm going to mention why in a minute, but you will see that between 6 and 12 months, there's a natural moment in the morning where when the body creates a sleep wave and your baby will feel tired. And if the nap starts within this window, falling asleep is easier and the quality of that nap improves and sleep is most restorative. So my suggestion is to keep this timing in mind, especially because we live in New York, where it's winter now, and where it's super dark at 4:30 a.m. Your baby will tend to wake up early, 4:30 p.m. I'm sorry. Your baby will tend to wake up early in the morning, as many of you are already mentioning. So by 8:30, many babies will be ready for a nap. And this is another reason why we want to wake up the baby no later than 7 a.m. in the morning. Because if not, sleeping later in the morning will affect the quality of this first nap. The first nap sets the rhythm of the day. It's super important. It's physically restorative, and we want this nap to happen at a good rhythm. By 8 months of age, so those of you who mentioned that your baby is 7 months, I think that Rebecca, you mentioned that your baby is 10 months, Amy, your baby is 7.5 months. We want to see more and more a very regular timing for sleep. The rest of you who have babies that are younger than 7 months, you can still be flexible. And probably right now, your baby can, even if your baby wakes up, let's say at 6, your baby will not be capable of staying awake until 8:30, and maybe by 8, your baby will need to sleep, so you can be flexible. However, as your baby grows, especially after 7 months of age, and for sure after 8 months of age, I would suggest not to start this first nap before 8:30 in the morning. Ideally, we want a nap to last 60 minutes. And this is the reason is because of the sleep cycles I presented earlier today, where I was showing you how your baby sleep cycles would lengthen as your baby grows. So we want a nap to be at least one sleep cycle. And I know that some of you mentioned that the naps right now are very short, around 30 minutes, especially Chelsea, for you that you have a 3 months old. It's completely normal that your naps are shorter. But then for older babies, we definitely want to see a longer nap. How are we going to get to this goal? Well, one for sure is timing, having an appropriate schedule. The rest I'm going to talk a little bit later. Okay, so we have a first nap. We have a first nap that is physically and emotionally restorative, and we have a timing for sleep, a sleep window, a sleep wave that happens around this time. And we want this nap to last at least 60 minutes, and I'm going to help you get there. There's a second nap that is super important too, and again, it will become more and more regular. And usually the wave for this nap starts around 12 at noon. However, as the first nap improves, as the first nap gets longer and more regular, your baby will take this nap closer to 1 p.m. And I briefly described here rawly, because every baby is different, how many hours your baby will can tolerate staying awake between the first and second nap. So around 6 months of age, babies can tolerate 2 hours and a half awake after the first nap ends. Around 8 months of age, their babies will extend the time to around 2 hours and 45 minutes awake. And by 9 months, for sure, your baby will be capable of staying awake 3 hours between the end of first nap and the beginning of the second nap. And I want you to be very careful about all the information that you can find in the internet, because sometimes we drive parents crazy with all this information about awake windows and I don't want to overwhelm you with this, but one thing that I can tell you about awake windows and all the information that is out there is that those windows are not applied the same throughout the day. And it's normal to see that your baby will tolerate a certain amount of time awake early in the morning, and then more time awake between first and the second nap, and a different time awake after the second nap ends. And also that changes with time. And this is because what I was telling you before, between 6 and 12 months of age is not only important how many hours your baby was awake, but also a specific time of the day when sleep will need to happen and when sleep will be most restorative. Now, the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that for some babies, there will still be a third nap. This third nap will slowly start to disappear between 6 and 8 months. Most babies by 8 months will not need this third nap of the day. So for those of you who have babies that are older than 8 months and they're still having a third nap, I encourage you to stop offering the nap. So the rule that I often suggest is that you will not let your baby sleep past 4:30 p.m. Why? Because if the baby takes a super late nap, at this age, it will start affecting the quality of nighttime sleep. And it will be similar. For example, if we in the adult life, we are super tired around 8 p.m. And we say, I'm so exhausted. I didn't sleep well last night. I was taking care of the baby. And then you have the opportunity to nap around 8 p.m. You'll be exhausted and probably you will fall asleep. But then, even if you only sleep for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you will wake up, you will be super groggy because it's 8:30, so maybe you wanted to keep sleeping, but it's not bedtime yet, and then you have things to do, and maybe you have to eat, and you have to take care of your baby, but then, so you will feel confused. But also, if you want to go to sleep, let's say at 10 or 11 p.m., as you always do in the night, and 11 p.m. for me is too late, so I'm not sure how you feel about that now that you're mothers. But but I'm just putting an example of it. So let's say that you go to sleep at 10, 11 p.m. You won't be able to fall asleep because that 30-minute nap at 8 p.m. took away some of the sleep pressure that you need to fall asleep. So you are tired because it's late. But then because of that short nap, you cannot fall asleep easily. So then you will fall asleep, let's say at 1 a.m., but you still need to wake up at 6 or 7 when your baby wakes up. So by allowing yourself to get that late nap, you took away the most important sleep, that is the sleep that happens at the beginning of the night. And basically, you got less hours of sleep at night. And with young babies, this is the same. So if by this age we allowed a very late nap, and this would be after 4:30 p.m., maybe the baby is tired. So you were like, you know what, the naps were so bad today, and I'm allowing my baby to get a late 4:30 p.m. nap. But at the same time, that will compromise the beginning of the nap, and it will affect the quality, especially at the beginning of the night, that is so important, and the baby will sleep less hours. Again, this applies for babies 6 to 12 months. For those of you who have younger babies, especially Chelsea, that you have a 3-month-old, Jody, that you have a 5-month-old, you can be more flexible, and maybe your baby can sleep until 5. But as the baby grows, as the rhythm becomes more regular, and as the naps become more organized, I would suggest not to allow a nap after 4:30. The third nap will disappear anyway. And maybe some of you are already experiencing this. Even when you offer your child to sleep, your baby will not take that nap. They will feel more alert late in the evening or early in the afternoon, at 4:30. The definitions of early and late change a lot when we become mothers and we have to take care of young babies. But again, your baby will start rejecting the third nap anyway. And because if your baby rejects this first nap, you will think that they need more time awake, so you will offer that time later. And I would say no nap after 4:30 p.m. Because this nap will tend to disappear, bedtime will need to be earlier. So that's the other thing that I want to address, bedtime. How do I suggest to calculate bedtime right now? So if the third nap happens, bedtime will be 2 hours after that third nap ends. So let's say that your baby sleeps until 4:30. You will put your baby down around 6:30 p.m. Now let's say that um, third nap does not happen, then you will calculate bedtime from your second nap, and this will be around 3 hours and a half awake after the second nap ends. Never earlier than 5:30 is my suggestion. And then by 12 months, your baby will probably tolerate 4 hours awake between the end of the second nap and bedtime. So if your brain allows you, you will probably are already doing some calcs there and calculating your baby's bedtime. And the conclusion of all this is that early bedtimes for babies this age become essential. And I would say this is one of the main reasons why babies who were capable to sleep longer stretches of sleep by 8 weeks suddenly lose that ability to getting good quality of sleep at night. And many times it's because we do not adjust bedtime. So we think that that young baby can still go to sleep at 11 p.m., at 12 p.m., at 1 a.m., or even at 9 p.m. But if the baby is too tired by bedtime, instead of releasing melatonin, what the body has a natural reaction to staying late, and it's like the body says, like, okay, you're not going to sleep. Then I have to keep you awake. So instead of releasing melatonin, it will give us a cocktail of adrenaline and cortisol, the same hormones that we release when we are exposed to stress. And when we have these hormones circulating in our bodies, we feel restless. So even when we are tired, falling asleep is harder and staying asleep is harder at night. So early bedtimes become essential. Early bedtimes are associated with easier times falling asleep, better sleep quality, and more sleep in total during the night. And I strongly encourage you to adjust bedtimes if your baby's going to sleep too late. And this is also one of the reasons for those of you who are experiencing long wake ups around 4:30 a.m. This is one of the reasons why babies struggle at that time. That is a time of the night when sleep is more superficial. So we are not in those deep stages of sleep. If we've released that adrenaline and cortisol at the beginning of the night, that those hormones stay in our blood. So when sleep becomes more superficial, instead of being capable of going back to sleep and get an extra sleep cycle before the day starts, we stay alert. In young babies, this is even worse because they don't have the cognitive capacity to say, okay, it's 4:30, I'm going to stay here in my crib, very relaxed, because it's not time to wake up. They will feel alert, so they will, but they will still be tired. And so they will either talk to themselves and you are like, oh no, my baby's singing at 4:30 a.m., or worse, they will be crying and very fussy. And then finally, what I want to tell you about bedtime is that babies are naturally early risers. So by putting them to bed later at night, they will still wake up early in the morning. And this is another reason why you want to start doing early bedtimes, because they will tend to wake up early anyway. So we are taking away hours of sleep, the most important part of the night, that is the first half of the night when sleep is most restorative. Okay.
Lola, there is a question from Rebecca.
Of course, yes.
We can address it maybe later, or you want to do it now?
No, let's do it. What I'm going to show you now are examples of different, how this applies to different babies. So this is a great time for questions. Do you wanna, is in the chat or Rebecca?
He's in the chat. Yeah.
Let me see.
Rebecca's son is 10 months old, and she's saying that, Roman takes the naps between 10:30 and 11, and
Yes.
then the second nap is 2:30 and 3 p.m. And if that's okay for a 10-month-old.
So consistent nap between 10:30, 11. So is he starting the nap between 10:30 and 11 or only sleeping for 30 minutes?
He starts it between those times.
And
Sorry,
then,
he's losing it right now.
and then at what
But,
time is he starting the day in the morning?
it's hard to say because he wakes up maybe like around 5, and then I like get him to sleep again maybe till like around 7:30. So he wakes up usually around 7:30 for the day,
Yeah.
and then his first nap is usually from 10:30 to 11. He usually falls asleep around
And then at
that
what
time.
time do you bedtime after that second nap ends?
Usually I start like giving him his bath and everything around 7.
Okay. And for how long does he nap for that second nap?
It depends. Anywhere from sometimes he'll sleep for 45 minutes. Sometimes he could sleep for an hour and a half. It just really depends.
It depends. Okay.
Yeah.
So I personally think, and then, but he's still waking up, you mentioned, right? Like your sleep your sleep level is at
Sorry.
3 in terms of
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah.
So I think that there needs to be a sleep adjustment,
Yeah.
schedule adjustment here. And the first thing that I would do, and then when we move to the sleep plan, you will all be able to put all this information together, I promise. But basically here, what I would suggest is one, to do an earlier bedtime. So let's say that your baby is up. Sometimes you mentioned that he's only sleeping for 45 minutes. So, by
Mm-hmm.
3:15, let's say that he's up.
Mm-hmm.
And because his nap was short and maybe the previous nap was short, and then the nighttime sleep is not good. So he is kind of sleep deprived because nighttime sleep is not working well. I would
Right.
say that for now, keep him at only 3 hours awake after that second nap. So by 6:15, for example, on the day that he's awake by then, he needs to be asleep
Okay.
and not just starting the routine. So this will be the big adjustment. Naturally, because you're going to put him down,
Yeah.
he will tend to start the day around 6 a.m. in the morning, probably.
Okay.
And I know that right now you might think this woman is crazy because she's suggesting, to wake up at 6 a.m. And the idea of all this is that you all start sleeping better. So,
Yeah.
it's different to go to sleep at 8 and then wake up 5 times a night. And then maybe you wake up after 7, but then you're exhausted because you've been awake all night. And it's different, like maybe your baby will go to sleep earlier and wake up earlier, but you will have a full night of sleep. It's very different. And again, with the second part of this workshop, we are going to discuss more details about this. But in this case, I would definitely suggest earlier bedtime. This will automatically probably define an earlier wake up. And then that first nap of the day will move to 9 a.m. So your full day will be earlier. The other reason why
Okay.
you're going to appreciate this is because at 4:30 it's dark anyway in New York. So if it would be spring, it's different, right? And then we'll worried about spring in a few months. But right now, to have a baby sleeping at 6:30, you will love it. But yes, that will be my first recommendation. I would do everything earlier in the day. Let me show you some examples here. So
Lola,
yes.
Lola,
Yes, yes.
sorry.
Go ahead.
You need to adjust the screen because they're not able to see the whole
Sorry, what am I doing
your
wrong?
horse slide.
I think your Zoom screen is up. Like if you're looking at the chat or the video, I think that basically blocks our view. So we might have to
This
just
one?
minimize those, the
So there's like
top one and then the left
the
side.
left, yeah.
Wait. Yeah, but I thought I was only sharing the presentation. I'm sorry about that. I didn't notice. I'm going to stop sharing and share it again to see if I can fix this. Give me a second. Sorry about that.
That looks great.
Yeah, wait. Is that better? Or not?
No, it's still
No,
blocked.
Wait.
yeah.
I'm guessing you on the left side, you're probably viewing you have like a view of all the participants or something.
No, I'm looking at my screen. I'm looking at my Zoom on the bottom of my screen. Wait.
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna stop again. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. Wait. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Wait, because my computer is not responding now, of course. If anybody wants to take this time to ask more questions, please go ahead.
So
Yeah.
there are more questions on the chat.
Okay.
So
you want to read them to me, Shin, so I
yeah.
can keep
So
working.
Jody and Alexandra, they both have similar problem.
Okay.
They're starting to wind down around 6, and they both kids are sleeping at bed at 7 p.m. But then they're waking up, earlier at 4:30.
So maybe let's start with Alexandra. Alexandra, do you want to share a little bit about your baby's day in terms of what time is your baby napping, for example? If you want to unmute yourself.
Maybe Jody.
Okay, yeah.
Can they hear us?
Yeah, Silas is
Be able to
sleeping
hear it.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Silas
Okay.
is sleeping. So he just went down. We tried to put him down earlier. He woke up today at 5 o'clock. And his dad was up with him for most of the morning, tried to put him down at 8:30. He would not go down. I came down. And he just went down at 10 o'clock. And he will be asleep until probably 11:30 a.m. We'll go out for the day, do a couple activities, and he'll probably take another nap at 2:30, wake up at 4, and then we're starting our wind down at 6:15, bath time, book, bottle, and then bassinet.
Yeah.
And he's usually in bed by 7 p.m. Like he's and drowsy. He's drowsy. And those naps during the day really range. Like his first nap of the day is usually on one of us. And that's how I get an hour and a half in the morning with him. And then the afternoon nap yesterday was like amazing. I don't know how, but he slept in a bassinet for an hour and a half yesterday.
Great.
And the thing that has changed is I've been upping his ounces during the day. So yesterday he got about 24 ounces of formula, and I thought that maybe that would mean that I would get less, get more sleep through the night. But he's waking up multiple times throughout the night, and then waking up and is super alert at 4:30. So I'm wondering if like it's still not enough in terms of food.
So yeah, I don't think that food is, so your baby's healthy, gaining weight with no issues, healthy weight, healthy baby?
Yeah,
Yeah.
20-pound, 5-month
Yes.
baby.
So I'm very confident to say that probably feeding or the amount of milk that he's getting is not the issue. And then your baby is 5 months, right?
Yes.
So he's still on the young side. My first
Okay.
observation, for example, on a day like today, you mentioned that your baby woke up at 5 a.m. and he did not sleep until 10 a.m., correct? Yes, or?
Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. So those are 5 hours awake. That's a very, very long period awake for such a young baby. And when babies stay awake for this amount of time is what I was explaining before, that contributes with overtiredness and making the baby restless, and he starts, building up that sleep kind of deprivation mode, and this contributes also to a bad night. So first, I would really encourage you, especially because he's 5, he's not even 6 yet, to keep those wake windows, and you can move through wake windows instead of by the clock like I was suggesting before because he's young, to no more than 2 hours at a time. And then eventually, as he sleeps better, to 2 hours and a half. But right now, he's staying too long awake. And let's say that he sleeps from 10 to 11 today a.m. By 1, you want him asleep again. So in your case, it's very important to observe his sleep signs. There's something that he does to let you know that he is tired, yawning, red eyebrows. Babies tend to, for a few minutes, look at the horizon when they start, losing energy. Then, as they get more in control of their hands, they will start rubbing eyes, pulling ears. Some babies, even when they become toddlers, they pull their hair. So there's something that your baby does to let you know that he's really tired. And I would encourage you to control and limit the time he spends awake. And the same with bedtime. For example, you mentioned that by 4 p.m. he's usually awake from his last nap. By 6 p.m., you want him asleep and not just starting the sleep routine. And this makes a huge difference. Babies need a lot more sleep than what we think. They get tired a lot more faster than what we think. And keeping them awake for too long during the day affects the quality of nighttime sleep. So less time awake during the day, earlier bedtime. This will be the first step. And then we have to move to the sleep training part. But we cannot do any sleep training if we do not adjust the schedule, because offering the baby to sleep when they really need it is essential. It's like offering the baby to eat when they are hungry. So that would be my first observation. If you don't adjust the schedule, it will be very hard for him to get good sleep at night. So earlier bedtime for sure. And that is what is going to help him to get into deeper sleep at the beginning of the night. More milk will not solve the fact that right now he's spending too many hours awake during the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I just don't really know how to get him to fall asleep at 8:30. Like his dad did try.
I know,
Um,
I know. And then the second part of this presentation will help you get there. Believe me. Yeah. So,
thanks.
the schedule is a part, the routines and sleep associations are the second one. And then I think that someone else had a question. Alex, I think no. Who?
Hello.
Alexandra.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Go ahead.
Arlene. Or I think Alexandra did ask a question too, but we're very similar. Like
Okay.
that my baby, I don't know how old her baby is, but my baby is 4 months,
Okay.
almost 4 months, like literally a few days away. And he has been waking up early, like 4 or 5 a.m. And I am trying to do kind of like a routine and schedule. I'm all about the wake windows, I'm all about the naps, I'm all about the bedtime routine. And what I've observed is his wake windows are normally like an hour, 40 minutes. And then right before then is like his nap times. He does about like 4 naps a day.
Okay.
I'm trying to be consistent with the schedule, but because he wakes up like so inconsistently in the morning, like you said, it does alter the first nap of the day. And then the schedule changes kind of like daily. So sometimes he wakes up at 4, sometimes he wakes up at 5, sometimes he wakes up at 6. He hasn't waken up at 7
Yeah.
in a long, long time,
Um,
since maybe like 2, 3 months.
no, and that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
will stop you right here. So your baby is 4 months. He's still super young.
Yes.
So I would say that the sleep recommendations, are different for him. And he's also, if he's
Okay.
almost 4 months, he's going through all the changes of the 4 month sleep regression. And I want to be mindful with for the moms that are between 6 to 12 months. So it's very normal what you're experiencing. It's super positive that you're already paying attention to how much
Uh-huh.
you can tolerate being awake. So keep doing that. Keep those, moments
Mm-hmm.
to 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Probably he will move to 2, and you will find the second part of this presentation useful because
Mm-hmm.
even though the schedules that I presented are for a
Mm-hmm.
little bit older babies, you will find that the
Mm-hmm.
way to address the sleep associations, and if you want to start making any changes on how he falls asleep, will help you because you're already having a great part, super healthy, that is paying attention to those awake windows and knowing that because you have a young baby, he's still not ready to stay um, awake for too long or
Mm-hmm.
to buy the clock and naps at a regular time every day. But also
Mm-hmm.
is this specific time, that getting to that 4 months period when lots of changes are happening in your baby's
I
body.
see. And if they do wake up like 4 or 5 a.m., should I pretty much
Not
just
time to
start
wake
the
up yet.
day? Oh, like I
It's
should try to
not
get
time
them
to
to
wake
sleep.
up yet. 4:30 is
Okay.
night waking. We don't want a baby waking up. It's maybe your baby needs to eat at that time. We're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about night feedings in a minute and how to address the sleep plan and the night feedings and to organize that. But no, I
Mm-hmm.
will not start the day at 4:30. Um,
Yeah, it's really weird.
you
Like
can
today.
you have to put all the ingredients together, right? Because that
Uh-huh.
is what actually at the end helps your baby. But with flexibility, Arlene, because for mothers who are between 6 to 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
you can totally expect better nights ahead,
Mm-hmm.
more regular sleep, consolidated sleep, and I would even say no nighttime feedings for a 4 month baby, and even more like a almost 4 months baby. You still
Mm-hmm.
be flexible. Those night wakings are normal.
Mm-hmm.
You still can expect more consolidated sleep. Remember, your baby started releasing his own melatonin at 8 weeks, so you can definitely expect 6, 8, maybe 10 hours of consolidated sleep at night, but
Mm-hmm.
night feedings are still, something that we can expect at that age.
Yeah, we're still doing one feed.
Okay.
Thankfully, it actually went down from 2 to 1, so
Yeah.
that's been a progress, which we're very happy about. It's just, yeah, the inconsistent waking, and then it just alters the nap schedules every
Yeah.
day, kind of. And I've been trying to get a routine, but because of the
Because remember,
inconsistent wake.
daytime rhythms are still not regular at that age. Daytime sleep
Uh-huh.
starts becoming more regular starting at 4 months of age. So
Okay,
right
that's great.
now, you cannot expect, naps at the same time. It's
Mm-hmm.
normal that naps, maybe some days are long, maybe some days are short. So
Mm-hmm.
daytime sleep is still not organized. The body has not started to do that yet. Or if the body is doing it, it's very slowly. And this
Mm-hmm.
is why, I do tell parents in terms of expectations, we can expect a more regular timing for nap between 6 to 12 months. Then is when you can say, hey, nap at this time, and then bedtime, because the body needs it. But at 4 months, you still need to be flexible, and it's completely normal that some days, days are kind of chaotic and different from the day before.
Like today. But oh yeah, yeah. And then one more thing, sorry. And if his night is getting a little better, like, and with the daytime, what I'm struggling with is like pretty much all contact naps.
Yeah.
Before he was kind of sleeping on his bassinet, here and there, but like majority was contact naps. Like, is it too early to start doing kind of like gentle sleep training with nap times?
Yeah.
Or
So exactly,
it's
we're
too
going to talk
early?
about this in the second
Okay.
part of the presentation, right? So
Okay.
if you are ready to start making some changes, how to do that.
Okay.
Can you confirm now that you are looking, it looks better now, my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So everybody can see the issues that you were seeing before are gone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so very briefly, because we still have many things to cover. This is an
Okay.
example. So that schedule that I suggested before, this is how it could look like at 6.5 months of age, for example. Let's say your baby wakes up at 6:30 a.m. and then we can expect a first nap from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The baby wakes up. Then there's a second nap that happens around 2 hours and a half after he woke up at this age. So let's say at 12:30, and then the baby in a beautiful day sleeps until 2 p.m. And then maybe there's still time for a third nap between 4 to 4:30. This third nap, we do not care if it's only 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or half an hour. This third nap is not really restorative anymore. It will become shorter and shorter. So this third nap is the ideal nap to do on the go, in the carrier, in the stroller. You're out and about, maybe even you're in your arms, your baby, sleep for a few minutes, and that's more than enough. We're not going to expect a long nap. On the contrary, it's going to get shorter and shorter. So for the 6 months and a half baby who woke up from his third nap at 4:30, bedtime, as I told you before, will be around 2 hours after he woke up. So we want him asleep at 6:30 p.m. Let's look at the second example. This baby is 9 months. So let's say that he also wakes up at 6:30 in the morning. And then he also takes this first nap from 9 to 10, some babies until 10:30. Ideally, I would wake up a baby around 10:30 to preserve the quality of the second nap. And then because this baby is 9 months, he can tolerate 3 hours awake between the end of first nap and the beginning of the second nap. And maybe he sleeps beautifully until 3 p.m. And because of his age, and because he already slept for 3 hours today, he does not need a third nap. That third nap does not exist anymore. So we will calculate bedtime counting from the end of second nap around 3.5 hours awake. Asleep by this time. The beautiful thing is that when things get more simple and after sleep training, the time you put your baby in the crib and the time he wakes up are similar. So you will be able to put your baby to sleep at 6:30, and a few minutes later, he will be asleep. And then let's see this example of a baby 12 months, and let's imagine that he also wakes up at 6:30 in the morning. Still, you can see that I suggest the first nap at 9. So I've been suggesting this nap at 9 for the example of a baby 6 months, for the example of the baby 9 months, and now for the example of a baby 12 months. And this is what I want to show you how we expect this first nap to start every day at the same time. And then there's a second nap that also happens 3 hours after the first nap. And no third nap, as I mentioned before. At this age, we do not want a third nap. And then because this baby is older, he can tolerate 4 hours awake between the end of second nap and bedtime. So these are just examples to show you how the rules or the suggested schedule can look like at different ages. Okay, so now let's move to the essential elements that you need to consider when talking about how to improve your baby's sleep quality. We were talking about an age-appropriate schedule. I just mentioned you how to organize the day and the little rules and limits that you need to consider when deciding when to put your baby to sleep. We also want your baby to feed every 3 to 4 hours. This is very important because the suggestion will be to stop nighttime feedings. We want to make sure that the baby gets all the calories during the day. Your baby will also start doing solids. Many of you probably are already doing it, but those of you who are closer to 6 months, maybe you're just starting the solids journey. And then again, so we want to make sure that all the calories are consumed during the day. A consistent wake up in the morning. I've also mentioned that we want the baby to wake up no later than 7. The sleep-inducing environment, I already mentioned that. And then finally, we are talking about the bedtime routine and the social aspect of sleep. So when it comes to sleep, everything I've shared so far is the biology of sleep. How many hours of sleep a baby needs at this age, why certain timings for sleep are more important, how naps are organized during the day, and why it's super important to prevent overtiredness and put the baby to sleep at the right time. However, sleep is not only biological, it's also social. And what I'm trying to say by this is that all of us, every human beings, have certain routine. Yes, somebody's talking? No? So there are certain routines that we all depend from them and allow us to relax and fall asleep. In the adult life, these routines are, I don't know, brushing our teeth and putting our pajamas on. Before having children, we had energy and maybe we were reading a book. Now we also have Netflix and all the streaming platforms, and then maybe we watch a movie. Not sure how good that is for sleep, but hey, for some of us, it's relaxing. And then finally, we get into our bed. Our bed is very specific, either has a hard mattress or a soft mattress. We like to sleep with one pillow or two pillows or no pillow. We like to sleep with lots of blankets or no blankets. We like to sleep either on the side or on our back or on our belly. Each one of us has a particular position that is comfortable for us. I'm a side sleeper. If somebody or for any reason I have to sleep on my back, I cannot fall asleep the same way. Is there any biological reason that would prevent me from falling asleep if I'm on my back? No, but for me, I need to be on my side. And let's say that I fall asleep with the lights out, I put on my pajamas, my children are already asleep, I go on my bed, I get into that comfy position, I fall asleep. And then suddenly it's 3 a.m. in the morning, I wake up, the light is on, my husband is not next to me, the pillow is on the floor, my blankets are not there. It's not just because it's 3 in the morning, I would open my eye and say, oh, I'm going to go back to sleep and fall asleep. Maybe some people can do that. I certainly can't. The first thing that my body would do is to have an alert reaction. It's like, what is going on? Why is the light on? Where is my husband? And let's say that, I don't know, my husband miraculously woke up and is taking care of one of my children because they don't feel well, and I want to go back to sleep. I would turn off the light. I would pick up my pillow, my blanket. I will get into that comfy position that allows me to relax and fall back asleep. Sleep is not a voluntary action. And by this, I mean, it's not like I would do 1, 2, 3, fall asleep. It doesn't happen like that. I need to be in that specific situation, environment, in a particular position that would allow me to fall asleep. In young babies is exactly the same. So it's very normal for young babies to have sleep associations that they cannot control. Of course, they cannot decide over their sleep routines. And of course, when they are young, those sleep associations are very strong. It's very normal that a young baby would fall asleep feeding, either breastfeeding or bottle feeding, maybe with a pacifier, maybe in the stroller, many rocking, and with a specific motion that we've used to rock our babies to sleep, the bouncy ball, the rhythm. Every one of us probably have a specific way of helping our babies sleep. Nothing wrong with this. Super healthy. We are doing all this because we love our babies, because our babies need that, because at the beginning, all to get it into that relaxed mode, everything is involved with us because they only can tolerate certain time awake. So it's very normal that they fall asleep feeding because there was no enough time to do more things, and then by the time we were feeding him, the baby is super tired, and because it relaxes our babies, and some babies need a lot more contact. However, as the baby grows, as the baby is more alert, as the baby is more in contact with the environment, feels more stimulated about everything that is surrounding him. As the baby gets older, so it's really difficult to hold him in our arms he's getting heavy. It's the other day, a mom got in contact with me for a consultation because she was having sciatica from, holding a 10 months old really big baby and rocking him to sleep all night, for example, right? So our bodies start, we need to take care of those, of our bodies too. Um, so now imagine this baby who fell asleep in our arms, super healthy, nothing wrong with that. You've done an amazing job. But then suddenly, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, and remember that we all connect sleep cycles. So at some point, there are certain arousals that are even unconscious. We don't even remember that we did that in the middle of the night as we were connecting sleep cycles. But then suddenly your baby wakes up, and then your arms are not there. Your boobs are not there. The rocking motion is not there. Maybe the baby fell asleep in the stroller and suddenly is in a crib. So he has the same alert mode that you would have if you would find yourself in a situation that you were not in when you initially fell asleep. And all this is easier when they are newborn because they're less overstimulated or they're less interested in all the things that are happening around them. But now you have an older baby. I'm sure that those of you who have 7, 8, 10 months old babies, they're super, they're interacting, they're grabbing their food, some of them, they're blabbing more and they're being more fun, right? So um, um, we cannot make this baby think what we want them to think. They're like, oh my God, I know, mom, that you are there. I'm in the crib. What is going on? And this is why at some point in the baby sleep journey, when the parents are ready, it's important to give opportunities for the baby to fall asleep in a way that they can control their environment more. They can move in the crib, they can find their sore positions, they can understand and learn how to go from awake to asleep with their own resources. And I don't want to create a big debate around this. People have different opinions about sleep training, but please know that there's nothing wrong around it. And it's really about changing sleep associations. But also remember that if you are ready to make any changes in your baby sleep routine, it's important that you adjust the schedule first. I would never suggest a parent to start changing the sleep associations if they are not willing to adjust the schedule and make sure that the baby is sleeping at the time they need to sleep. So how do I suggest to move into, changing these sleep habits? The first thing I strongly suggest, if you're feeding your baby to sleep, or even if you're not feeding your baby to sleep, but feeding is one of the last things that happen before you put your baby down at the beginning of the night, and especially if this is happening in the same room where the baby is sleeping, I strongly suggest to move that last feeding of the day outside the room the baby sleeps. So from now on, when you're ready for a change, you will do that last feeding of the day when there's still eye contact, there are still voices in the house, the light is still on, you're in a different room, not where the crib is, and you will use that moment to tell your baby what is going on. Hey, buddy, we're going to do things a little bit different tonight. We had such an amazing day. And tonight I'm going to do A, B, C. Talk to your baby. Let them know what you're going to do and what you're going to change. Simple words, communicate. When your baby stops that feeding, either because you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, and if it's time for bedtime, so because I suggested certain time for sleep, you will keep that in mind. Then you will start a very simple sleep routine. The sleep routine does not need to be a very long ceremony of 1,000 steps and 30 minutes or 40 minutes doing this. It's A, B, C, a very similar is like when we are adults, brush our teeth, put our pajamas, and off to bed. So with your baby, what you will do is to use words as a cue. Hey, baby, it's time to sleep. Let's get ready. You will walk to the room. The baby will say good night to the members of the family. Good night, dad, if mom is putting baby to sleep. Good night, mom, if dad is putting a baby to sleep, or your partner is putting your baby to sleep. Good night, sister. Good night, dog. Good night, brother. Good night, plant in the house or picture on the wall. And use those little steps as cues. It's important for your babies. Babies thrive with routine, with those associations. You can even use a song to take your baby to the room. It doesn't have to be a lullaby. Maybe it's a song that your family enjoys, and every time you start that 10 minutes routine, that song plays in the house. You take your baby to the room, darken the room, blackout shades, ideal. Change your baby's diaper if he's not wearing the last diaper of the day. Put your pajamas on if baby is still not wearing their pajamas. Cuddle for the last few minutes, and the last step will be literally to putting your baby fully awake on his back, essential to put the baby on their back in the crib. Something that probably many of you are not doing at this point. And when your baby is in the crib, fully awake, your baby has no idea what to do. Because until now, in order to go from awake to asleep, your baby is depending in other things that helps him get to that very relaxing stage that allows him to enter into sleep. So this final step is very important, is one of the main changes that I would suggest you do when you're ready for a change. And I would not even suggest drowsy but awake. For those of you who have younger babies, for example, Chelsea, you have a 3-month-old baby, definitely can do drowsy but awake. For those of you who have babies older than 6 months, I would advise fully awake. If your baby does not know what to do when he's awake in the crib and he's tired, it's the end of the day, we know that it's time for sleep, he's been showing you that he's really tired, he will start crying, he will start getting frustrated because he will be like, what is going on? I'm super tired. Where is my milk? Where is my mom's arms? Where is that rocking motion? I'm really tired. What should I do? So basically, what I will present to you is a few strategies that you can use so you can decide how would you like to support your baby while your baby is trying to figure it out how to fall asleep. I'm going to present 3 methods. This said, variations are infinite. You can do as you want, but you need to be consistent and you need to choose one way of doing or supporting your baby, and your baby needs to fall asleep in the crib. Chair method. With the chair method, you're going to use a chair. You're going to put that chair next to the crib. And while your baby is fussing or crying, and I completely believe you that your baby is the one who cries the most loud in the whole world. I'm not sure who mentioned before that the baby, was getting even choked when crying a lot, and that would make you, I think, Arlene, were you? I don't remember. But then you mentioned, that can be a very stressful
Rebecca.
time.
It was Rebecca.
Okay, sorry, Rebecca. But basically, your baby will be in the crib. Your baby will have no idea what to do. Your baby will be tired, and you will be there. So first method is you will use a chair. The chair will be next to the crib. You will be into a very calm mode, as calm as possible. If you don't find yourself comfortable in this situation, ask your partner to be the one who take this step. You can use your voice. Shh, shh. Baby, I'm here. It's time to sleep. Shh, shh. Stay silent. This will not calm your baby. Remember, your baby will be very frustrated, so you need to stay calm. You will stay in the chair until your baby falls asleep. Every 3 nights, you will move the chair further from the crib and closer to the door until the chair is completely outside of the room. Second method, visits. In the States, it's most popular to call the Ferber method because he's one of the doctors that has described this strategy. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to place your baby in the crib, baby fully awake. You're going to leave the room. You're going to close the door. After that, you're going to use the watch. Ferber says, first, before going in, first wait like 2 minutes, and then 3 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes. So he talks about increasing the intervals. I many times tell parents, Don't go crazy with that. Choose a time, maybe 5 minutes, enough so the baby can have some space to fall asleep. And then every 5 minutes, you're going to go in. If you feel comfortable, then you can stretch that to even 7 or 10. But if not, stay the course at a certain time. When you go in, you will only go in for a few seconds and you're going to tell baby, it's time to sleep. I'm here. You're going to leave the room. Just a few seconds. Remember, your visit will not calm down your baby. Your baby will be really fussy, really tired. He will not know what to do. And then you will do this until your baby falls asleep. The third method is no intervention at all. And you will leave your baby in the crib, you will leave the room, you will not go in until your baby is fully asleep. There's no one better method than the other. None of these methods will be bad for your baby. This is mostly about what is best for you and your baby, and nobody else than you know this. But I can tell you this. One, your baby can do it. Two, your baby needs it. You need it too if you're not sleeping well. It's not like everybody has to sleep train. You know, some babies get there by themselves. You know, some parents find, you know, that maybe they do other things that are not so structured and work. What I can tell you this, everybody is this. Everybody needs to sleep. Everybody, your baby too. Waking up at this age 6 times a night, it is not healthy. Broken sleep is not healthy for no one. And especially, you know, after many months, you know, of sleep deprivation, it's time. It's time for a change. It's different when babies are newborn. You know, it's normal to have broken sleep. You know, when babies are super young, for example, Erling was saying that her baby is not even 4 months. So that's different. We still expect nighttime wake-ins and feedings during the night. But at this age, it's time. It's time for everyone to get better sleep. So I'm going to repeat this. One, adjust schedule. Super important. We need to make sure that we are putting the baby to sleep when the baby needs it and prevent overtiredness. This will solve many of the sleep issues that you're having, and this will have an impact on their sleep quality. Second, decide your sleep plan. Once you're ready, go for it. Move the feeding outside the room. Create that very short, simple routine. Put your baby in the crib awake on his back and decide how you're going to support your baby as your baby tries to fall asleep. Talk to your partner before starting. Make sure you have a plan. Write it down. What is going to be the schedule? What are you going to do? Where are we putting the chair? Are we doing the chair or are we doing the visits? Or we're not going in at all? If you are considering not going in at all, don't give up in the middle. It's better to start with the chair and then maybe decide, hey, this is not for us. You know, my baby is not calming down. I'm not enjoying this, so I'd rather leave the room. Then start it by leaving the room. And then because you cannot handle it, then move and put the chair. We want to go from less drastic to more drastic rather than the other way around. Second thing, every time your baby wakes up during the night, you will do exactly what you did at bedtime. If you use the chair, you will go back to the chair and stay there until your baby falls back asleep. If you use the visits, you're going to do the visits. If the baby is in your own room, you can shush him from the bed. You don't have to go to the chair or do the visits. If you decided no intervention, you're not going to do anything. Nighttime feedings. For healthy babies with a good weight, I always advise go to your pediatrician, ask them for the green light to make sure that everything's good. Most probably your pediatrician will tell you all good, your baby does not need to eat anymore at night. And I would strongly encourage you that if this is the case, stop feeding your baby at night. So this, and remember, because of this age group, okay? I'm not talking about younger babies. But if you're going to keep one feeding because you're still not sure about taking this step, then what I strongly suggest is no feedings before midnight. So every time your baby wakes up before midnight, you are going to reset and do whatever you did at bedtime to support him while your baby is awake. After midnight, you can go in once, pick up your baby, feed your baby in the room where he's sleeping, either it's in your room or in another room, and then put your baby back in the crib completely awake on his back after the feeding. After this feeding, every time your baby wakes up, you were going to do exactly what you did at the beginning of the night to support him while he is awake. The day can start from 6 a.m. on. Any wake up before this, we're going to treat it as a night waking. So many of you that were asking, well, what happens? But my baby wakes up at 4:30, your baby already fed. So from now on, let your baby fall back asleep. What we see is that once we adjust the schedule and once the baby learns how to fall asleep in the crib by itself, nighttime wakings will solve. You'll see. So stay consistent maybe the first few nights, and this will happen very naturally because it's what your baby can do. They will love to sleep better. For naps, exactly the same. You will do the bedtime routine. You will put your baby down in the crib. You will allow your baby to fall asleep in the crib using the same method you use at bedtime. The difference for naps is that one, you don't have to feed your baby before a nap because usually during the day, what we want is the baby to do that routine that it's wake up, feed, sleep, wake up, feed, sleep. So basically, feeding is happens when the baby wakes up and not when the baby goes to sleep. And once the sleep gets more organized, the rest of the things fall into place, and this will happen very naturally. So for naps, you're going to stay the same, you're going to stay consistent. But the other thing is that you're not going to leave your baby forever. It's normal that your baby will struggle with daytime sleep at first. So I would suggest leave the baby in the crib for 45, 60 minutes, even if the baby does not sleep. And then after that, you can end the nap if the baby is not asleep or is awake, and then you can go get him. If the baby does fall asleep, let him sleep. I suggest capping the first nap at 10:30 to preserve the quality of second nap and to not allow the baby to sleep more than 3 hours in total during the day. I know that it's a lot, and I went a little bit fast through that last period because I wanted to give you opportunities for questions. So please go ahead. I'm going to go back to the chat. And you're all welcome to ask questions.
I have a question. Sorry, this is Rebecca.
Yeah.
So with the sleeping through the night, I know like I was trying to not feed Roman because I know when I was doing research, it was saying he doesn't need to eat through the night anymore, and like he's associating feeding with sleeping, so he's just doing it to soothe himself, not because he's actually hungry. But then, when I was trying that one night, it was like over an hour that he was just crying, and I could not, like, I tried rocking him, I tried doing all this different stuff. He wouldn't go. I didn't try just leaving him alone in the crib, so maybe that will be
Does he
different.
know how to
But
fall asleep by himself at the beginning of the night?
no,
I
everything
would
is
start
always
there.
me holding him and stuff. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be like it's gonna
So
be
I would
crazy.
start there. Do not
Yeah.
expect your baby to fall asleep without feeding if you're
Mm-hmm.
not starting by the beginning of the night. That is essential. Start
Okay.
by the beginning of the night. Adjust his schedule and start by the beginning of the night. That is your first step. Do not allow your baby to cry the rest of the night if you're not willing to do it at the beginning of the night. Because once you do it at the beginning of the night and once you adjust the schedule, he will stop waking up anyway.
Well,
And
like with,
yeah,
sorry, I can get him to fall asleep without being fed. That I can do, but I'm still holding him or singing
yeah.
to
So
him or
that's a
something
sleep
like that.
association.
Yeah,
So when he wakes up in the middle of the night, he expects that. But
exactly.
also, I would ask you many questions about his daytime schedule. So first, we need to make sure at what time, for example, is our nap happening?
He has his nap at like 10:30 usually, and around
Oh,
2:30 to
you,
3. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. You already. So
Yeah. We're gonna change that first, and I could still like nurse him to sleep first initially. Just change the schedule first, and then do it, or
If
just do
you're
everything
ready,
cold turkey.
do everything, everything.
Okay.
Your baby is 10 months. Your baby is 10
Yeah.
months. He can totally do this.
Mhm.
If he's healthy, I'm very confident he does not need to eat at night. But then he's
Mhm.
a baby. He's a baby who's been depending on feeding or rocking.
Yeah.
And then on one side, he's a little bit sleep deprived, right? Because his schedule is a little bit off.
Yes.
So we want to correct that. And then you do that at the same time that you do the rest, because again, he's 10 months. So um, for him, even then when he laughs, for you to hold him and, getting into that relaxing mode while feeding, he's also probably now he wants to, what happens when babies are older is that they touch your face, they put their fingers on your ears, they put
Yeah.
their fingers on your nose, they're playing, with you. They're more connected. So now they're using you as, oh, this is so funny while I'm feeding. Um,
Yeah.
and so that is a lot more interesting than falling asleep, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So nobody better than you knows if you are ready for this step or not. But in terms of realistic expectations, I would put all the ingredients in the recipe.
Okay.
So one, adjust schedule. Two, do not expect your baby to go back to sleep in the middle of the night if he's not capable of falling asleep in his crib at the beginning of the night. So start there. Talk to your
Okay.
partner. Make sure that you understand at what time do you need to do things in order to respect his sleep needs, and then decide how you want to start. And once you start, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
For it, even if it takes him a long time to fall asleep at the
Okay.
beginning.
And
Go for it. Trust me.
is there a certain time where I should, like, if he's up crying in the night over an hour long, should I feel like I know he's not hungry, but I'm kind of stuck, like, at
Yeah.
what point do I know he needs something else? I don't want to just leave
Well,
him
he needs
crying for
to
so.
sleep. So
Yeah.
what you will have to decide is how do you want to support him. And
Okay.
remember, start by the beginning of the night. And that
Mm-hmm.
itself, that discovery that he will have at the beginning of the night will help so much. Jody Mindell, that is one of my favorite experts on sleep, and she has amazing research on sleep. She says 80% of the wake ups will go away just by knowing how to fall asleep at the beginning of the night. So
Okay.
trust that just by adjusting the schedule, remember,
Mm-hmm.
falling asleep at the beginning of the night, the rest of the wake ups will be a lot easier.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
You got this.
Thank you.
But again, don't start until you're not ready, and don't start because I say so. Okay? This is not like
Okay.
you need to sleep train your baby at all.
Yeah.
What I want you to take from today is the understanding of how sleep work and
Mm-hmm.
certain strategies that you can use to move into that direction. The rest is nobody better than you knows what's best for your family.
Thank you.
Of course. More questions.
Lola, Arlene has a question. She has a 4-month-old.
Yes. Also, not sure if I missed it, but if he wakes up at 4, 5 a.m. in the morning, so I try to get him go back to sleep till 6, 7. Yes, correct. Remember, Arlene, that your baby is very young. So um, you can definitely work on sun sleep training for sure, but then it's completely normal that he still needs to eat at night. I would still encourage you not to feed him before midnight if he has a good weight and the pediatrician says it's okay. But at this age, he can definitely not feed before midnight, but the rest of the night, I would be flexible. So definitely, yes, let's say that he ate, for example, at 3 a.m. and it's suddenly 4 a.m. You can allow him to fall back asleep. But remember, start at the beginning of the night. Do not expect your baby to fall back asleep if he does not know how. It's like if remember that example that I gave you where I wake up in the middle of the night and my pillows are on the floor or I am forced to sleep on my back. It's like if I wake up at that time and somebody will expect me to go back to sleep without my blankets, without my pillows, and sleeping on my back. It would be really hard for me to do. And that's the same to expect that your baby will be able to fall asleep in a different way in the middle of the night if he didn't practice at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. And sorry, two more questions. You mentioned capping the naps at 3 hours. I actually cap it at two. Do you think I
Not
should
you,
just let
not
him?
you. You have a young baby.
Oh, okay.
Not you. You have a young baby. The
Okay.
only rule that I would consider in your case
Uh-huh.
to wake up your baby is when he has to eat. You will want the babies to
Oh,
get the most calories at night. You have a baby
uh-huh.
who's not even 4 months old yet. So
Uh-huh.
in that case, let the baby sleep all he wants,
Okay.
and unless it's time to sleep to eat. For example,
Eat.
he at
Uh-huh.
12 and he has
Mm-hmm.
to sleep again at 3, to eat again
Uh-huh.
at 3, but he's sleeping, wake him up, feed him. Make sense?
Okay.
If not,
Yeah.
you do not have to cut the naps. This is for all three.
Oh, yeah, because I normally try to cap it at, he doesn't really rarely go over 2 hours, but like sometimes if he does, I do wake him up gently. Sometimes it's to eat, but sometimes it's because I'm like worried about the next nap and the next week window.
Yeah.
So like,
No, he's still young.
yeah.
He's not even 4 months. So no cutting the
Okay.
nap, again, daytime sleep is not organized yet, and then he needs a
Uh-huh.
lot of sleep.
Okay. And then another question was you mentioned earlier it's better to put them when you start sleep training awake, not drowsy, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
for the
Yes.
sleep
Until three
association.
months, I would say be flexible. After that,
Uh-huh.
ideally completely awake in the crib. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because those first moments where they get into that drowsy mode, they
Mm-hmm.
are already entering the first phases of sleep. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a sleep association there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we actually tried that like yesterday for the first time, but the drowsy and he fell asleep. So we were like, oh wow,
There
like
you go.
that was
Mhm.
shocking. Like, but
Yes.
then I'm like, oh, should we switch it up now to awake? Like there's
Yeah.
just,
Hey, whatever you did last night, it works.
uh-huh.
Okay. But then be consistent, and
Mm-hmm.
again, your baby is young. So that's why I don't want to make it very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's normal that your baby falls asleep in the stroller, feeding sometimes because it's young. He only tolerates a certain time awake, so it's
Mm-hmm.
different. But hey, if it's already working, go for it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
More questions.
I have a question. I'm trying to understand, and maybe I missed this because my baby was fussy for a little bit. But trying to understand how you can help him consolidate his naps. Like for example, this morning he was I put him down for his morning nap. He was crying and I just let him cry to sleep. And
Yes.
he probably fell asleep within like ten minutes. Great. But then he woke up after 40 minutes and then I let him cry for like 15 minutes. And then after that, I picked him up. But I've been noticing that, previously he can be good at consolidating naps, a whole sleep, like the 2 hours or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But more recently, he's been sleeping only the 40-minute sleep cycles. And maybe I don't know, is it that like I have to first solve for his like nighttime sleep and then that will help his naps?
So, but is he falling asleep by himself in the crib already or not?
At night, I do like feed him and then sometimes like he is he'll like wake and then he'll go back to sleep. But yeah, I guess I do have to get rid of that like association with
Yeah,
feeding.
because at the end, because your baby is already 7 months, right? Or seven and a
Mhm.
half,
Yep,
I
that's right.
think you mentioned. So remember, he's more alert. We know that his rhythm is more and more regular. So adjusting the schedule becomes super relevant at his age.
Okay.
And now he needs more consistency in terms of how falling asleep, because if not, he does not know what to expect. So, for example, let's say that you wake up a little bit from a nap and then you readjust yourself and then you fall back asleep, right? But then a baby who does not know what to expect, let's say that, I don't know, he's uncomfortable because his arm was in a bad position. It happens to
Mhm.
us that sometimes,
Yep.
we're sleeping in a bad position and then suddenly our arm is numb and then we kind of struggle with that. But then imagine being a baby and then you wake up, you are uncomfortable, you're still tired. What do I expect, ma'am? Are you come to feed me? Are you coming to feed me? Am I, falling asleep here? Should I cry so somebody, comes and pay attention to me? Should I use my hands to self-soothe? Should I just move because I know that eventually I will fall asleep? So he needs, more regular expectations.
Hmm.
So if so in terms of nap lengthening, this plays a big part. One part is putting him to sleep at the right time, and that improves the quality of nap a lot. But another part is giving him the ability to control how he falls asleep. So if he wakes up early in the nap and he didn't sleep enough and he's still tired, he has the resources to just move a little bit in the crib and then falls back asleep. So, starting at people do it in different ways, right? Some parents feel more comfortable starting with nighttime sleep, and then a few days later they move forward with the naps. I personally tell parents go for it and do it with everything.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. More questions? And I know that, people makes sense. It's leaving.
I
We're a
I
little
have a
bit over time.
question.
Yes.
So, I work remotely and I noticed my baby's naps like really I would put her into the crib and she would, really not go down. So I don't have much time to kind of I guess, have a screaming baby while I have to make calls. So what I started doing was taking like my lunch break, and this is really bad, I know it, but I started like letting her like sleep on me
Yeah.
for like an hour just to get that like 12 o'clock nap done. Do you have any suggestions for like, is it just, am I gonna have to just brace myself and like try and retrain her, put her in the crib and just,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
would. So, again, if it works for you and you don't want to change it,
yeah.
do what works best for you. But in terms of nighttime sleep, is she falling asleep in the crib?
Uh, no. I started letting her sleep in the bed
Yeah.
because
So
it's
I would start there. I would
she
start
was
there.
she was crib trained. I think what happened was like teething really shocked us both.
Yeah.
So, I really just yeah, I think this whole class has been really helpful because what I'm seeing is I'm undoing some of the work by placating her, right?
Yes, and it's normal. We go through different stages and our babies grow, so we definitely learn, how they behave, how we respond to their needs. Now they're more interactive. But then considering that you are already back working, that you're working from home, having your baby on a schedule and a schedule that works for him, it's not like you're imposing a natural schedule. Um, it's so useful, right? Because you're in a meeting, you know what to expect the rest of the day, and you know at what time your baby is going to sleep. But I would go back to the same advice. Adjust the schedule. Start with nighttime sleep at the beginning of the night and be very consistent about allowing your baby to fall asleep in the crib for every nap.
Okay, I'm gonna do that tonight.
Yes. And remember, talk to your partner if there is a partner at home. Um, be in this together and go for it. Do not say, I'm going to give it a try. You're doing it. You're doing it. So don't change the course and revisit until, after giving the change some time. I have to drop now. Thank you so much. Okay. Amazing. So one thing, I know that we went a little bit long with this class. I'm going to send an email with some details, the suggestions on the schedule, the possibility of, for those of you who want to start and if you want some support, the possibility of counting with that daily support in case you need some guidance. Um, but I want to give maybe 5 more minutes to questions if there is anyone else who would like to ask anything else, and then expect my email with some relevant information that it was shared today. Nobody else? No. So I think Sheen, we're done. Thank you so, so much. I'm sorry that for the technical problems and that we went over with the time a little bit, but I hope that you found it useful. I believe in you, moms. You can sleep again. You need to sleep again. This is completely possible. Please reach out. Don't live in a sleep deprived mode. You know, Society is asking too much from us by, having to be alive and being sleep deprived all the time. So please reach out. Asking for help um, is necessary. So thank you so much. I'm very glad that you all join, and I hope that you can put in practice some of the advice.
Thank you guys so much. That was super helpful and super
Amazing.
informative. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lola.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was
Bye,
perfect.
guys. See you. ¿Se queda así? A ver si está. Ahí. Bueno, perdón, me fui un poquito de tiempo con esto de los technical problems. ¿Qué te pareció?
Ajá. Bien, bien, me gustó. Me parece que... Oh, está lloviendo. Am, hay mucha información, tenías razón, es bastante. Mm, y definitivamente, por grupos es mucho más
Sí.
to the point.
Porque
Claro que
acá
la gente
pensé
se...
que gastamos bastante tiempo en responder preguntas de 3 meses, de 4 meses,
Sí,
y aparte saco las zonas madres, como que dicen, no, pero mi bebé no tiene 3 meses, ¿no? Pero bueno,
exacto.
basta, no pasa
Pero
nada.
bueno,
Sí,
no importa, pero sí, o sea, se ve la diferencia. Entonces sí, a mí me gustó. Yo
genial.
pienso que podemos hacer otras edades, pero no gratis this time, porque ya
Buenísimo. Sí,
saben
porque
la calidad.
ves que es mucho, es una buena sesión, ¿sabes? O sea, tiene
Sí.
mucha información. Em,
Ujú.
entonces, al final cobrar es algo lógico, ¿no? Porque es que no
Sí,
es que
porque
es,
le estás.
no es que es un
No,
wishy-washy thing y te digo así nomás para que
no.
no es
Y lo interesante para mí, desde mi punto de vista, es como, eh, o sea, las madres no tienen un esquema porque no saben. Yo tampoco sabría cómo guiarles, así que
claro.
perfecto, like,
No,
yo
y
aprendí
lo que,
también.
viste, lo que ellas dicen es típico. Entonces, le das toda la información y te dicen, pero mi bebé, ¿por qué no está durmiendo bien? Y de repente les preguntás si está 5 horas despierto, todavía no se
Ujú.
solo a la noche, quieren que dejarlo llorar a las 3 de la mañana, pero no a las 10, como que ellas mismas
Sí,
se van dando cuenta de
ajá.
inconsistencies around sleep.
Y sobre todo la asociación de comida y sleep, yo eso sí los trato de hacer porque les digo, si usted asocia sleep con comida, se va a despertar todo el tiempo y en el medio de la noche y va a esperar la comida. O sea, por eso es que comen.
No, y que es normal que eso pase al principio, pero que en algún
Bueno,
momento hay que
sí, pero
hacer.
cuando son más
Claro,
de 6 meses en adelante, yo le digo, no necesita. Y
claro.
todas siguen, no, a las 4 o 5 de la mañana. He notado que los que no duermen, después los dejan dormir toda la mañana y entonces
Claro.
ahí la arquitectura se fregó.
Chao. Sí, 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 sí. Pero bueno, me alegro que les haya resultado útil. Voy a mandar un email
Ah,
con el suggested schedule y bueno, nada, nada,
sí, ¿está bien?
me alegro que se presentaron varias.
Sí, no, estuvo bien. Y fue dinámico, la gente creo que le gustó, mucha gente dio las gracias, así que yo pienso que está muy bien.
Buenísimo.
Te iba a decir, si puedes, compartes conmigo los emails, porque traté de
Sí,
bajarlo
ahora,
del
no, ahora te los voy a bajar todos los que se inscribieron, que ya tengo la lista
sí,
final con lo de hoy, y te los mando.
ajá,
Sí,
sí, porque yo traté de agarrar algunos del survey que hicimos y no
sí,
pude, no sé por qué. No sé si es que yo no lo sé sacar
bueno, te
del
paso ahora
Google Sheet.
todos los que se inscribieron, te bajo la lista con los que se
Ajá,
anotaron ayer
sí.
sí, sí, perfecto, así los tenés a todos.
Ok.
Dale. Bueno,
Bueno, Lola, muchas gracias.
hablemos para fijar fechas de otras edades.
¿Qué te parece hacer
Newborn.
newborn? Pues es que newborn per se es como by
Sí,
itself is
yo
one thing.
newborn sugiero padres que estén a 2 semanas de parir, como
Ujú,
muchísimo en el último mes de embarazo, porque si no se olvidan
ujú,
todo, no tiene sentido,
ujú.
hasta las 8 semanas.
Ok.
8 semanas. Ese sería como el siguiente grupo.
Ujú. Deberíamos hacer ese. Ese
Dale,
me parece que es bien importante.
dale, genial.
I mean, todos son importantes, pero,
Sí.
you
No,
know.
no, genial, pero ese es el que da como, que es lo genial, es la introducción para que ya sepan qué esperar y ya
Sí,
empiecen con el pie derecho.
correcto,
Buenísimo.
correcto.
Bueno,
No, está
empiezo
bien.
a preparar eso y después definimos alguna fecha.
Sí, perfecto.
Bueno,
Bueno,
sí, me
listo.
alegro que te haya gustado. Gracias por compartir tu
Bueno,
comunidad y, Y te paso toda esta
Genial.
información.
Ok, gracias.
Bien.
Nos vemos. Bye.
Bye. Sí, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, qué linda.
¿Qué tal?
Bien, bien.
Voy
Aquí estoy.
a ver, está grabando ya, pero
¿Así?
sí, pero